Well, the Secretary for the Department of Housing and Urban Development now calling for the creation of a $5 billion annual fund for affordable housing. Sean Donovan announcing the plan during a speech at the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. And now that has some questioning if the administration is really looking to use taxpayer money to shore up the Hispanic vote for the midterms. Mary Kissel has questioned this. She's a member of the Wall Street Journal's editorial board and joins us now. Hi, Mary. Great to see you again.
Thanks for having me on the show.
So look, $5 billion, affordable housing, I mean, sounds like a great thing. It'll help people with housing. What's wrong with that?
Well, one thing to understand is that this isn't new. The Department of Housing has been doing this for years. This is what brought us the housing bubble and burst. So-called affordable housing, what that really means is, how can we take taxpayer money and give it to people who otherwise couldn't afford to buy a home? And that produces, it gets people into homes that they can't afford, and ultimately taxpayers pay the price.
Oh, man, we've seen that movie we've seen before. Have. Look what happened in 2008. Have they learned the lessons from that? Do you fear this could be a repetition of that?
Eric, it's not just 2008. After the housing bubble burst, something called the Federal Housing Administration, which is another big government, a taxpayer-backed mortgage insurer, went broke. So even after the bubble burst, we had a subsequent bailout of yet another government housing agency. So there are a lot of issues here that the government could be addressing but isn't. And this speech that Donovan gave to the Hispanic real estate professionals, very interesting, because he said we need to reform the system, we need to do all these things, but ultimately what they're doing is they're just going back to the old politics, taking money from taxpayers, giving it to constituencies that they like.
Let's take a look a little bit at what he did say during a speech, for example. When he gave this speech before the Hispanic Real Estate Professional Association, he said, number one, he said we've got to ensure that reform yields a major fund of $5 billion a year for the production of affordable housing, which will be good not only for the Hispanic community, throws that in,
right,
but also for our nation as a whole. Well, he is addressing the Hispanic real estate group. I mean, is that so wrong?
It's not his money. It's our money. It is taxpayer money. What he's saying is we're going to give money to people who otherwise couldn't afford to buy a home.
No, he may say, I'm not saying that. You got to qualify.
I'm sorry,
look,
Eric,
he says, private capital should be at the center of the system. The government role should be explicit and
They've been
defined.
saying that since 2011.
There should be an access to safe and responsible financing. Is that all?
You can't have safe and responsible financing when government guarantees 85% of the mortgages in this country. You will never have lenders making prudent decisions when they're being backed with taxpayer money. That only happens when we have a private market where lenders can look at you and say, can you afford a $500,000 mortgage? Does your income let you pay for that? And unfortunately, what Donovan is saying is, not only are we going to say to certain groups, we're going to give you a helping hand, he's saying we're going to take this taxpayer money and not even care so much about whether or not it's safe. That is how you get a housing bubble and burst.
Well, he may not say that we don't care. He's saying they want to be responsible.
Yeah, politicians say and bureaucrats say things like that all the time. Look, the Obama administration in 2011 said we want to privatize Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. These are the big taxpayer-backed mortgage insurers. It's been years now. The president has put out absolutely zero political capital on Capitol Hill to actually get that done. So they can say what they like, but the reality is that Fannie and Freddie are making money again. The housing market is recovering, and that's why Sean Donovan can go out to an Hispanic real estate group and say, happy times are here again. I've got money to give to you.
Bottom line, what do you predict will happen? Will this $5 billion fund be enacted, and what happens if it is?
I think it will be enacted. I think that Mel Watt, who's now running Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, he's already got two funds at his disposal that he can start to fund. He can do that at his own discretion. I think you'll see that happen, and what I think is you'll see taxpayers standing behind some very risky stuff.
We've been there before, if that indeed is the case. Mary Kissel, great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.